Time for elevated vibes right here on IntellectualRadio.com, a iHeart radio station. Now, everybody, I always introduce us to y'all as usual, but you know what? You know who we are. Plain and simple. You know who we are. And jump in this conversation, you can hit us up 708-223-8953. Once again, that's 708-223-8953. Or you can hit us on Facebook Live. Now, you already know what we're going to talk about, everybody. It's pretty obvious what happened last night. All right.
Or what didn't happen last
Yeah.
night.
The other way to put it, a complete surprise. Am I perturbed a little? Yeah. Yeah, I am. And it's going to take time to take in the blow. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you in a 12-round fight, you're going to take them hits from your opponent. You're going to feel it, and you got to take it in. So right now we taking it in, but we're going to take it in and we're going to talk about it, folks. I'm going to let the man, Tim Evans, start this off.
Yeah, I literally felt sick while watching the election last night. I was looking at the David Pacman show.
Yes.
He had a he was covering the election, and as he was talking, he's one of my favorite broadcasters, but he was making me feel ill while I was listening to him because he is so like calm and casual about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so pissed off, man. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe that it was, at the time, it seemed so close. And then
before it all started, but yeah,
right around 9 o'clock, Trump started overtaking.
Yeah.
And I was, oh man, I just had to go to bed.
Yeah. I have to admit, I didn't, how you usually try to get a good night's sleep.
I didn't get a good night's sleep.
It was like every time I kept waking up and I would, because I ain't gonna lie, I turned the television, just found something goofy on TV and try to let that just play while the TV watch me sleep. But don't get me wrong, I got up and I looked on my phone and I'm like, Lord have mercy, and I forced myself to go back to sleep, so I didn't get no real sleep last night. So I know what you mean, I truly do, and a lot of folks, now that everything is over, everybody's trying to figure out what happened, and they're trying to figure out who went that way and so forth. And don't get us wrong. Everybody has a right to vote to whoever you choose for, folks, to whoever you choose for. But one thing I did learn as getting older and understanding life, you may have, it's a crazy analogy, but you may have some bad trees in the forest. But why in the world would you burn down the whole forest because of some bad trees? And I'm saying this to explain to everybody. There were people who were dissatisfied with some things with the Democratic Party. Now, don't get me wrong. I lay it more on them than I do Kamala, because if you look at it, she did a thing.
Yeah, it seemed like she was getting out there.
Right, yeah. In a short amount of time, too. Right. It was not, the regular standard time that people have was almost like a year or so forth during the election.
Correct.
She did it in, what was it, 100 days?
Yeah.
100 something like that. So, people got mad of certain things, certain aspects of what some Democrats have done. And, and maybe you can agree with me on this. And I understand people were dissatisfied because it felt like sometimes the Democrats did not listen to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I do. But are you going to tear down the whole party and tear down some fabrics of where we got an advance finally within our culture and society because you mad at a few people? Right. Come on now.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely down with the philosophy of tearing down the whole the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And build up from the ground up.
Right.
Because that's exactly what they're doing with this election, right?
Correct.
So I don't know how. I know they were having an issue about how Kamala Harris was elected to run.
Okay. Yeah.
But then I heard something very interesting that she was already on the ticket, right?
Right.
So Biden and Kamala Harris, they already were the chosen president, vice president,
The
duo. You're right,
incumbents.
right,
Yes.
to run. So it's kind of like natural for her to be the pick, a
Right,
person who will
because
step up, right?
right, because it would have been a big issue with the ballots, the votes
The
that he got.
right, the
You know,
delegates
if
trying to
the delegates,
yeah,
thank
right,
you.
and it's trying
If
to
right, if they would have went with somebody else, which okay, yeah,
Mhm.
you know, I get that point, but also, and that's why I put some blame more on the Democratic Party on the fact that you knew that Joe, and none but love and respect for him, but you knew that Joe was declining. You know,
right, right,
you knew this.
right.
Somebody should have been to Joe a long time ago saying, "Hey, Joe, we love you, but we can't mess with you, man."
Right at the beginning of the campaign period.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
right. We got
Exactly.
love for you, but we cannot mess with you.
Yeah.
So then that would have had her or somebody else come up to the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd have been more for what the excuses some people are saying is, and I do call them excuses. They couldn't trust because they didn't know all that stuff.
Right, right.
So I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
so
people.
I mean, so right now they're definitely playing the blame game. I know they're saying that maybe her message wasn't as clear as they needed. Especially, I don't know if you saw the interview that she had where they asked her a question. They said, "How would your administration be different than President Biden's administration?" And she couldn't come up with a very good
Yeah, and
answer for
but
that.
and that was the thing. They wanted her to jump through leaps and bounds with most of the things she did, you know,
Mhm.
and to answer all these different things, which I understand that you got to do that. That's what interviews, are made of and all that stuff. But come on now.
Yeah.
Again, she rallied everybody around in 100 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And came out with plans that were to help people, to bring people together. And come on.
Yeah, this is definitely not on her. You know what I
No, it's
mean?
not.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's for me. I think that it is a failure of the Democratic Party to read the situation. Right?
Right.
People
Absolutely.
wanted change. They
Yes.
didn't want the status quo, and I feel that maybe she was advised to project stability since Donald Trump is so unstable.
Yes.
But people were looking for change above everything else.
Yes.
They wanted change.
Yes.
And, her bringing on, in my opinion, Liz Cheney and the establishment people projected that, hey, things are going to stay exactly the same way they are. And people didn't want that.
Right. Absolutely. And a lot of people, they were talking about Trump with economics and so forth, with his economic plan, which he really had no plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Zero plan.
Yeah. And one thing I have to say to everybody, and hopefully y'all can understand. All right. Trump's first 2 years were good because of President Barack Obama. They were good because he gave him a good, start off and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Biden comes in, he has to fix the mess that Trump started. That's why a lot of our prices were skyrocketing. And then, you have these companies that jack everything up anyway, just because they want to make some money off of you, and not understanding that. Now, here's the thing, and I hope everybody could watch and see. When the first year or year, 2 years be okay under Trump, It's not because of Trump. It's because of Biden.
Exactly.
And people have to understand how that works, because they was ready to jump on all this and all that, not understanding that this is how that goes.
Mm-hmm. It takes a while for things to start taking effect, right? The policies to start working.
Exactly. And then the fact that you would have those in the House and in the Senate that do their best to block anything that's going to, if you come out with something to help the people, but because those in the House and the Senate, they may not like you, they may, you're on the other side of the aisle from them, what they're going to do is block everything, filibuster everything as long as they can to mess you up. And that has happened over and over again. I encourage all of y'all, if you want to play that blame game all the time with the high prices, and yes, we all felt it, then pay attention to the politics and what they're talking about when they have, and we all know they're long and boring, but some of those long and boring meetings that they have on C-SPAN and all that, where they're getting at each other and so forth, see what they're talking about. That's some of the things that people don't want to do. And I get it, it's boring, but it's a reason behind that.
Yeah. It's information that is vital. You need the information. And, I don't think that the American people actually, even if they did have the information, they don't want to hear the truth sometimes. Okay. So you got countries in Europe, they're probably paying like $5, $6, $7 a gallon for gas, right? And we over here, we paying $3, right?
Yes.
Now, we are paying that because the government subsidizes, right? Mm-hmm. They subsidize gasoline. Mm-hmm. Actually, to force us, if you want to look at reality, to force us to get off of gasoline, which we should be trying to aim towards, gasoline should be a lot higher than it is.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And that will force people to get hybrids. It will force the electric car to come on.
And then, like you said, in some of these other countries, they have these high prices within this gas, and they do different things to get people around. Like, even though I've never been on the continent of Europe at all, I've never been there, but from what I'm told, their public transportation system is like the bomb.
Right. Yeah,
and you can get anywhere and everywhere off that train. And things such as that, and just like you said, you come to some of these other countries where the gas is skyrocketing through the roof. People ain't messing with it, or you'll have maybe one or two companies and people work with that company, but people in general are not going to mess with it. So
right, exactly. And we kind of screwed ourselves. I mean, the cities that we have, the suburbs, are not really set up for public transportation too much. Right. I don't know where you would put a bus stop in the neighborhood. Regular cities outside of America are really not set up like American cities and suburbs and stuff. So
on that level, that's kind of done on purpose. For I was told a long time ago, you don't have certain buses and trains going to certain neighborhoods because they want to make sure that they keep certain folks out of their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's what I was told a long time ago. And being in some neighborhoods, even, relocating out into the western suburbs, I see that.
Oh, yeah. You definitely see that. And
right.
I mean, there's no way they're going to put a bus stop in some of these neighborhoods. I mean, what are they going to do?
Right. And they'll fight it tooth and nail. So,
right.
No, I totally agree. Now, everyone as well, and I want you to talk about this as well, bro. I want a lot of folks think that Project 2025 is a hoax. They believe it is. Now, I want you all to think about something. Why in the world would a certain group who funded Donald Trump, gave him a lot of funding, make a 900-page book, was it something like 125 writers for that book?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere on that, for a hoax to play with you.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would think that's a hoax.
Yes, and folks, understand something. Yeah. When you talk about people donating big money, they expect something out of you. Nobody's going to give you nothing without expecting something back.
Right.
I mean, and they didn't. It's not like they gave Trump $2-3. No,
No.
they paid that man some chops. So
Mm-hmm.
are they not expecting some of their policies to go? Come on now.
Yeah.
And then, folks, pay attention to some of the highlights of Project 2025 and Agenda 47. They're exactly the same thing. So tell me your thoughts on that some more. I know I'm just going, bro, but just go ahead.
No, they Project 2025 is definitely a playbook on how they want to run things for the long term. I mean, I think they start developing these ideas for like the last 40, 50 years. You don't work on something that long and not try to implement it. Whoever's saying that is either trying to deceive, or they are wishful thinking at best, because I was it a Democrat that said this?
No, it was a number of Republicans. Once it came out,
well, they might be trying to throw us off the
well,
scent.
and that's what they were trying to do, and it looks like it's been successful because I'm sorry, some of the people that the Republicans had to cross over were minorities who will be totally affected by Project 2025, guaranteed. So why would you vote towards that direction?
Right.
And
it is a
it mind boggles me, man.
It is a shockingly amount of people that are uninformed about anything political. That's one of the things that surprised me. They don't know. I had somebody today come up to me and say, "Oh, I voted. I really don't know what's going on, but at least I voted." So I was like, I wanted to be, I wanted to say, okay, so why don't you know anything that's going on?
We want you to vote, but you gotta understand.
You gotta understand, right? You gotta understand why.
You just can't go. I mean, it's like saying, "Hey, I drove. I don't know if I drove the right way. I had about 10 accidents, but I drove."
Yeah,
there's a problem,
right? I mean, if you don't know why, what's the purpose of you voting for, then yeah, we if you voted for our side, we appreciate it, because that's one.
Thank you for doing your due diligence,
right? But it seems like you should understand why you actually, vote one way or the other.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
And I'm gonna throw another thing out there. A lot of brethren were bothered. They were in their emotions because President Obama came and spoke to the gentleman, and they didn't like the way that he spoke to them. You cannot like someone that you can feel bad about your emotions, but that goes back again to what I was saying earlier. Why would you burn down the forest to cut down a couple trees, cut down a couple bad trees if they want to cut? And I don't consider it bad. I mean, sometimes personally, you need that person that's going to tell you the real. You may not like what they say, but you respect what they about.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of ego right there. You know what I mean?
I mean, they were met, and this is why you go vote for something that's going to set us back. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's a dangerous game that they play. You know what I mean? You don't know how this is going to turn out. You don't know what's going to happen day one. He may say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do one thing," and do a totally different thing. You kind of setting your generations, your generations of people back for a long time because of something you felt. This one particular period. You need to look at the long picture.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
If he's talking about taking people's rights and becoming authoritarian, sending people back to wherever they came from, immigrants back to different countries. Maybe they grew up here all of their lives, but he still wants to deport them, whether they're here legally or not. That is some long time ramifications. right?
Agreed.
And your feelings might be hurt that one day, but man, you talking about your grandkids being affected by what you was feeling that one day.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. And
yeah, it doesn't make
and
it.
that's the thing. Yes. Um he has to get all the stuff in process and get it all going. And some people say, "Oh, well, he needs the act of Congress to do it," not realizing they got the Senate.
Right, exactly.
And
You got executive orders.
right, and things aren't complete yet with the House, but it will be.
Mhm.
And so they may have that too. And then he has unchecked power now, thanks to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Come on, people. Halfway think.
Yeah, put it together, right?
And the thing is, yes, we can probably slow down some of that process, but it's still going to affect us. And then as adults, we are slipping on our own job because we got into our feelings. We're slipping on our own job because part of our job is to have things better for future generations.
Right. Right.
That's
right.
part of our job. But then, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
bro.
yeah, like I said, I want to blame Trump for doing the things that he's going to try to do, but I have to put a lot of blame on the Democrats in this instance because you have to hit the root of the problem. You know what I mean? I didn't see that many progressive. Maybe I wasn't paying too much attention, but did you see a lot of progressive campaigning for Kamala Harris? Did you see Bernie Sanders out there a lot?
No, I don't. I may have seen Bernie once or twice.
Yeah. So I mean, the progressives, well, they
and then some of them got kicked on out anyway. Like the guy from New York, Brooklyn, I want to say Jamal Bowman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also
he got voted out, and it was the young lady from
Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a APAC doing. And see, that's a whole other thing that we probably won't have time to talk about today, on the fact that, Trump's foreign policy is to let dictators and, strongmen do what the heck they want because he admires them. And I there's a lot of people say, well, you got to worry about America first, but we've had our hands in the dealings in everything around the world that we can't just no longer worry about America first because of things we've done. And now we got our hands in all these things and nobody to check them on what they do.
Right.
Nobody. I mean, you're gonna have Putin. He's probably sitting back putting together a party because he know what he's about to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got him. You got old Netanyahu that's gonna start a lot of mess with nobody trying to stop him. With the fact that Trump he'll probably triple the amount of weapons he will send over there.
Yeah. I think that they could have did a better job in bringing more people in. Like, I hate to say, one good thing that Trump was saying a lot is not taxing overtime. I never heard anybody say that before. Not taxing overtime.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
I know.
It's
not even. It hasn't been a thought in my head because we deal with the same people just at different locations.
Right.
But not to get the tax on that level of overtime.
And you're talking about a good. Hey, if the Democrats,
but I still wouldn't have voted for the man. But go ahead.
No.
I don't want people to get the mix up.
I'm just saying that was a good idea. That's something that would catch people's ear.
Yeah,
like, oh, you want to?
And I get that.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I am wondering: will he actually do that? Probably not.
Exactly.
Yeah. You probably forget that, but I wish that she would have threw some things out there like that. Something to get your ear. I know she threw out she said that she was going to increase the amount of housing.
Yeah, which was a good thing because I mean, let's keep it real. there's a lot of homeless people out there. There's a lot of people striving to get a home and all that, and it's hard for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now that goes back to some of the stuff that Trump threw out back in the day that we had to endure and deal with, but still, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
absolutely hard for everybody.
But I didn't hear anybody saying that they were going to stop people from other countries buying those houses that they built. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Stuff like that. So they could build 1,000,000 houses, but what stops everybody from coming in and buying those houses up before you can get them to the people?
Yeah,
You know.
agreed.
So, I mean, I think that the Democratic tent is trying to be so big right now that they're trying to capture everybody who is, working on the same level, and they can't happen. They need to pick a side when it comes to some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely true. And then another thing to even go out there, well, two different things. All right. One, that Trump still had a number of women voters that went for him.
Mm.
And he was happy and gloating that he took away so many different rights for women. And yet you still roll with this man. The same man that had court cases for, you know, and come on, it was shocking to me on the fact that he got so much women vote. It truly and completely was. I mean, you can't just look past some of the things a person does, and then you may be a possibility to look past it if you could tell that they were really sorry for it and manned up to it, well, manned up a woman up to it. But he does none of that.
Yeah.
He has no intention on doing it ever. And he will say that he was in the right when he was flat out wrong.
Yeah. 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 And a lot of people just don't believe the news when they tell them things like that. You know what I mean? They think that the court system is trying to get them, is out for them, and they won't believe one thing that you tell them. I mean, believe me, I've tried to tell the Trumpster, well, what about these sexual assaults, and what about this, and what about that, and they come right back at me with, well, I don't believe everything that the media says about Trump, and and then immigration,
and some of the stuff he says it himself. All they did was play back the tape.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's all
they don't want to listen. I'll tell you, Trumpers don't want to listen to even Trump say what he's saying.
Right.
They just want to deny.
Exactly, and they want to make excuses and push it off as jokes and all that. Which here's another thing that I'm gonna throw out there as well. Hey, you called Puerto Rico a floating land of garbage. You didn't, clap back at that when the comedian said that, even though you vetted the man, he told you what he was going to say and everything else, but you still could have clapped back later on. You didn't even do that. You didn't even do that. But then yet, these same people who he dogged are voting for him. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know if do you think that message got out to everybody that needed to hear it? Because it seemed like it got out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, all you had to do is turn on your TV.
Yeah, but I mean, so many people are uninformed about certain things that maybe me and you know, and because we try to listen out for those things. But I don't know. Sometimes it's like, hey, I got my 1 or 2 shows that I look at, and if they don't say anything on, say they don't say anything on Fox, I look at Fox and I look at this other show. If they don't say it on those 2 shows, I don't know about it. And I don't think Fox said anything about that instance.
Yeah, and I get that. Well, none they may have, but also the thing is that we, as people, we got to take our head out the sand. You're right. You're absolutely correct that a lot of people, they will tune all of it out completely. I get it because it's stressful. Okay, I do completely get it. It is stressful, but you still have to put some time and take some time with some of this stuff to know what's going on around you, so you're not caught on surprise.
Yeah, you would think.
And you know, you and I, we could be, crying wolf right now. We could be doing that right now. He may do absolutely nothing, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that
Hey,
whatsoever.
it's
But
one thing I know is Trump is not gonna sit there and do nothing.
Right.
He gonna do something.
Right. And even I'm gonna put this out here right now. 4 years from now, if Trump could prove me wrong, if the Republican Party could prove me wrong, then tell me and I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? I will take it. I was like, you are right. He didn't do none of that stuff he was talking about. Was a bunch of this and that and that and that, and that's what it was. But I don't believe it.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no way.
Not no way at all. Like I told you, even with the thing with that Project 2025, you get 125 people to make a 900-page book, which crap load of people brought. Before Taraji put it out there about that, I had heard about the book and I wanted to see if it was true. I found it on Amazon and it was like, this item sold out. So that thing was out there for the longest.
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
It was.
So come on now. These people ain't playing.
No, they're not playing.
They
They already got
playing.
it written down, man. So how much of the government, the running of the government, do you think that JD Vance is gonna, you know what I mean? Because he's not dumb, right?
No,
he may be.
I'll give him that.
He may be one of those slick talkers, but he is not dumb.
Oh yeah, he'll sell you snake oil in a minute.
And Trump definitely want to play some golf.
Yes.
So he's not going to be hooked into the. So how much what do you think JD Vance is going to be doing in there?
I think he's going to have his hands on a lot of things, and I do agree. The Trump that you see now is a lot slower. He's lacking compared to the Trump in 2016. Saying that and being that, I do believe that Vance will have his hands in a lot of things, and some of the things that Vance promotes and so forth is just as dangerous, if not more. And so what I do believe is that as everything comes out, and it will, everybody just start paying attention. They get everything starts in January 20th, so everybody start paying attention January 21st. And personally, I believe we got to try to fight everything they throw out there. Everything.
Yeah. Don't let them get away with it.
Don't let nothing be too small. We're gonna let that ride. Don't let it ride.
Yeah. For 4 years, we're gonna be exhausted.
Yes.
Yeah, but that definitely needs to happen. Yeah. Because they're going to try to, from day one, he said he's going to suspend the Constitution. Let's see if he starts there.
I do believe so. I mean, I can see him pulling that, or I can also see on the fact of, them dissolving the Department of Education as they were talking about, and the Environmental Protection Agency, because they want to drill.
So he said he's going to put JFK Jr. in charge of the EPA, and he's going to put him in charge of the CDC.
And so, even on that note, because is Robert Kennedy, but even though that is that man has issues. Everybody, he has issues. People start looking at medical books, start looking at everything, because I'm sorry, we're going to be a lot of self-doctoring out here, because that man alone is going to tie up so many doctors' hands. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. A lot of people are going to probably lose their lives because of some of the stuff that they may do.
Yeah. Especially with the vaccines, trying to get people not to take vaccines. Because that's what he was doing, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things he was doing. Yeah.
He's all about being suspicious about different vaccines and taking them in certain orders and all of that stuff. I mean, I don't know too much about the guy, but I know that was one of his issues.
I know his own family said that he's crazy. I'm sorry. Your own family saying you off. Real talk. Now, don't get me wrong, you shouldn't just go by that, because you never know a person completely, but they do know something. They was in the same house with the man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, something they know something about the man. And I'm not saying that he completely crazy, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that he has all his marbles. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a lot of people getting hurt because if
because
they
of his actions.
yeah. I mean, if he got conspiracy theories about what you should be taking instead of vaccines, you seen the guy already drunk bleach when Trump said he already drunk the bleach, so people gonna do stuff. You know what I mean?
You're
They
absolutely
believe
right.
stuff like that. So if you have somebody in a authoritarian role, and they
Yes.
say, maybe you shouldn't take the mumps vaccine or the polio vaccine. Maybe you should, maybe eat apples or something.
Yes.
That stuff is going to hurt a lot of people. It
Yes.
might even spread a pandemic in America. So many people listening to them.
That's true. Absolutely
Good.
true. What you think about the Supreme Court?
There's going to be a disaster.
Talk to me.
So Clarence Thomas, he's the oldest. And then Alito is the next oldest. So Trump is going to have the ability to pick 2 more Supreme Court justices. So they were saying like, okay, right now, Kavanaugh,
Yes.
he would be able to be in there to about 2050.
Okay.
And that would make him the same age
Mm-hmm.
as Clarence Thomas is now. So we talking about a conservative Supreme Court into 2050.
Oh Lord. yeah. That's scary. You know. And one thing I want to say is that there's nothing wrong with having some conservative values, okay? But you have to realize that everybody's not like you. You have to take in consideration that some people are not going to have the same values that you have, and then you have to find that line of respect. And I think a lot, especially off the conservative side, that line of respect has been broken, smeared, cut up, and everything else, and they're stepping on all our backs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we gotta try to bring that respect back. You know what I mean? We got to get to a point where, that next guy may think completely different than us. We can talk about it. Can come to a middle ground, and we can make something of it.
Yeah.
Unlike right now, from what they seem like they intend on doing, every value that you and I may have, people who may think like you and I, they plan to crush.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, they plan to crush it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, on some things, even with some of the teachings of history, historical teachings, and all that, you know, to want to take it all away and not teach the truth to the younger generations. To have the same setup that the generations before you and I, they royally had to deal with. I mean, we had to deal with some things, but it was out in front, in the open, nobody cared. And that's what they want to go back to. And that's what, because of some of us being disenfranchised with the Democratic Party, now allowed them to do, open up the door and had like streamers and balloons saying, come on in and do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we got to fix that.
Yeah, we definitely got to fix it. I mean, one of the biggest issues that I see is that, you know how the Republican Party uses projection. So they want to do something bad, right? And then they say, "Oh, we're not doing it. The Democrats are going to do it. They're going to fix the elections." Nobody said anything about the elections this time. Man, they didn't say one peep about anybody sabotaging the election after Donald Trump won, right? So they use projection a lot, and they often say, "Oh, the Democrats are what is that, grooming.
Yes.
They're grooming the kids. But actually, it's them that groom.
Yeah,
You know what I
because of
mean?
some of that, some of those ways they do it a lot more than in secret than those that they try to attack out front.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
And I hope I'm saying that in the best way, that I'm not offending nobody, but to be in that way, it's like, come on now.
Yeah, it's no more. It's no more grooming that you can do than homeschooling
Yes.
your kid. You know what I mean? That's telling your kid, I want you to act exactly the way I want you to act. And a lot of Republicans are great at, getting their kids, indoctrinating them into what they want them to get into, whether it be the church, and their ideology. And then they say, "Oh, you're the groomers."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They do.
So
They absolutely do.
yeah, you definitely gotta watch out for that projection. I mean, I hate to be down on the southern states and some of the what they call flyover states,
Yes.
but that is like a incubation chamber of like bad ideas.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All of these
Absolutely.
people, it's like all religious conservative thinking
Yes.
24/7.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't know how they matched religion and guns so perfectly, but it's like how how do they go together? Violence and religion together?
Yes.
Is that a natural match? I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all. But that goes into a whole nother story, because you have those that would um speak on how some aspects and so forth of religion was rewritten, to satisfy those in power. You know,
Mm.
that goes off into a whole nother tangent of a whole nother subject.
Yeah, that's my
That
bad.
will
I mean,
no, it's
mean to
fine.
jump that far
No,
off.
no, you're good, because I mean that's something that people need to understand, and also to try to look up, try to learn on. So no, that was a great thing to even speak on. So no doubt, but we are kind of up against the time. So tell everybody what you think we can do at this point to start to make things better.
Well, if you want to make things better for yourself, I would get a passport immediately. No, no, I'm just joking. No, but you're right. I agree with you that that we need to be informed, stay up on everything that they do, question everything, tell your local officials to vote the way that you want them to vote. Stay in their face. Don't let them get away with anything, and try to be more informed next time. Try to get more people involved, um, so we can have a better outcome in 2 years. Try to take back the Senate and the House.
Yes.
Yep.
Some on that level. Right.
Yeah,
No, I
definitely.
get it. I get it. And then also I would like to say, everybody, we have to end this thing that we've been doing for the longest. Tribalism. All right. And I say that to say this. We've done a lot of, oh, well, that guy's from the South. I ain't gonna mess with them. Or, to make it even more local, because we're in the Chicagoland area. It used to be the thing, oh, that guy's from the West Side, that guy's from the South Side, this and that. And it even goes further. All right. We have to end that. We have to, when these things come up, we got to stand together, you know. And people who thought, okay, I'm gonna keep it real, you made a mistake with your vote, but people who thought that that was the best thing to do, realize it's going to affect you. It might not affect you directly, but it's going to affect your neighbors. It may affect a cousin or whatever. It's going to affect you. So now what we got to do is let go of all that, tribalism and so forth. And we're going to have to stand together And when some of this crap comes up, we're going to have to knock it down together, because if we don't knock it down, it will knock us down. All right.
Yeah.
It's the man, Mr. Timothy Evans, and
All
myself, Abdul Rashid. This is Elevated Vibes. We will catch y'all next week. Peace.